Against a good $35 air cooler, a $150 one won't make your 7800 X3D faster in games. It can make it quieter. That's what the extra money buys, and it's $115 that belongs in your GPU. So start here, the Thermalright Peerless Assassin 120 SE. Here's what sends people wrong. You install the 7800 X3D, load a game, see a temperature in the high 70s, and assume something's broken. It isn't. The stacked cache changes how heat gets out of the package, so this chip reports a higher number without putting flagship heat into your cooler. Tom's Hardware found it running closer to a 65-watt envelope than the 120 printed on the box. AMD lists 89 degrees as the maximum operating temperature. That's a specification, not an emergency. But a chip that sits there has nothing left in reserve, and that's where you start losing boost. So the goal isn't dragging it into the 50s, it's keeping it clear of that limit, quietly, which is exactly what the Peerless Assassin does. Dual tower, 6 heat pipes, 2 120mm fans, AM5 hardware in the box, mid-30s. It's overkill in the useful way, more cooler than this chip asks for in a game, without paying AIO money for it. The Phantom Spirit 120 SE is the same tier swap, 1mm shorter, 7 heat pipes instead of 6, and close enough in practice that price is the tiebreaker. Buy whichever is cheaper the day you order. And if you're eyeing a Noctua NHD15 G2, buy it for the fans, the mounting system, and the warranty, not for frames. It costs 4 times as much, and this CPU can't spend the difference. The mistake to avoid: buying a 360 AIO because one screenshot made your temperatures look like a fire alarm. The real downside is size, 155mm tall, and the front fan sits over your first memory slots, so tall modules push it up past what your case allows. And before you spend more on cooling, check the air feeding it. A hot room raises your starting temperature. A restricted front panel starves everything behind it. Your graphics card dumps hundreds of watts into the same box, and some of that goes straight into your cooler. Fixing the airflow costs $40 and does more than another $100 on the heatsink. And one quick thing, if that just talked you out of an AIO you didn't need, a like puts this in front of the next person about to overspend. That's the only time I'll ask. Now, none of that helps if the cooler won't physically go in. 2 problems live here, and they need 2 different coolers. First, find your case's maximum cooler height. Second, measure your memory, because the front fan on a full-size tower hangs over the first RAM slots, and tall modules force it upwards even when the heatsink fits. If your case takes a 135mm tower, get the Thermalright Peerless Assassin 120 Mini. Same dual tower layout, same 6 heat pipes, but the full-size fan sits between the towers instead of over your memory. That drops it to 135mm and sidesteps the front fan over RAM problem entirely. Right answer for compact micro ATX, roomier ITX, and anything where 155 is just too tall. You give up some headroom against the full-size cooler, you keep the acoustics of a real tower, which is the part that matters here. If the case won't take a tower at all, step down to the Thermalright AXP 120 X67. 67mm, 6 heat pipes, and a full 120mm fan on top rather than a 92, so it doesn't have to spin as hard to move the same air. SFF Labs ran both of these on this exact chip. 30-minute all-core stress test, noise-matched, tuned down to 75 watts. The AXP 120 X67 finished at 77 degrees Celsius. The 37mm Noctua NHL9A hit 89 degrees Celsius, the chip's limit. Read that for what it is, a worst-case load on an open bench with a tuned chip. Gaming will usually be lighter, your closed case will usually be warmer, but the gap between those 2 coolers is the part that transfers, and that's why I wouldn't shrink below this class unless the case forces you to. The mistake here is checking only the case spec sheet. Low-profile coolers also collide with memory, board heatsinks, and riser cables depending on orientation. Check your exact board and case together. That leaves the person who wants liquid anyway, and there are good reasons for that. Not because this processor needs liquid, because you want the radiator in the roof, clear access around the socket, or a build without a metal slab hiding the motherboard. Those are real reasons, and they're allowed. Arctic offsets the mounting towards the Ryzen hotspot instead of treating the middle of the package as the only place worth cooling. You also get a thick 38mm radiator, a small fan blowing across the voltage regulators, and a 6-year warranty. That thick radiator is where this cooler's mistake lives. A 240 doesn't automatically mean an easy fit. Arctic asks for at least 63mm of clearance with the fans attached, and oversized heatsinks above the top M2 slot can get in the way. Measure first, and set a fan curve, because those Pro fans reach 3000 RPM, which is far more noise than this chip ever calls for. Don't buy a cheap 240 just because it's liquid. On this CPU, the $35 tower already gives you the cooling you need without pump noise or another part that can fail. And you don't need a 360 here either. Get one when your layout, your looks, or a low-speed fan strategy give you a specific reason. Current prices and the exact versions are linked in the description. Read the labels, because Thermalright sells several similarly named Peerless Assassin revisions, and they are not all the same cooler. All in all, here's how you should decide. Normal case, normal build. The Peerless Assassin 120 SE. If the Phantom Spirit 120 SE is cheaper that day, take it instead. Only 135mm tower fits. The Peerless Assassin 120 Mini. True low profile, around 67mm, the AXP 120X67. Liquid for the layout or the look, the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 Pro 240, after you've checked that 63mm clearance. And the rule that covers all of it: buy the affordable dual tower unless you can name the physical, acoustic, or visual reason it's wrong for your build. Not a scary number from a screenshot, a reason. Because the money you don't spend here goes into the graphics card. And with a chip this fast, the GPU is the only thing still holding your framerate back. So take that $115 somewhere useful. My guide to the best GPUs for the 7800X3D is on screen now. Go see if the one you're eyeing made the list.